Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast.
Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast, everybody. This is an edition unlike any other. That's right. I'm home in bed. Why am I in bed? Because I am sick. That's just the way it is. But I couldn't go without doing a show. And it's taken a lot. But this is the only show I think anybody's getting this week. I can't do much more. So let's talk about it. You guys follow me on social media. You've seen it. Oh, Dadpool, thank you so much, AJ. I really appreciate you. Glad you're feeling better, Mick. It's actually, it's clearing up. So I have an infection in my leg. So what happened was I got a cut on my leg. It was actually a bug bite. And then it turned into like a little bit more of a cut because I had aggravated it by hitting it. And then I guess it got infected. And that infection spread all throughout my lower part of my leg. Now, this thing is purple. Like, it was craziness. So I was feeling a little under the weather last week, but I was out, I was playing basketball, I was, doing the track, I was going to the gym, I was feeling really good. I was like, I felt like I was losing weight, just working on myself. It was great. I was having a lot of fun with it, sleeping better, eating better, the whole 9 yards. And then we get into, so if the camera shakes a little bit, please excuse me. I don't really have a counterbalance. I'm trying to do my best, which is kind of ironic because I will be talking about static shots and such tonight. So let me do my best to move my legs out of the way. So you'll have to excuse me from having to do this from my bed. But I was just so bored. I was so bored. I'm sitting here. I'm watching a lot of old good movies and stuff like that. I picked up writing a little bit more. I found some of my old screenplays, two of which, would be a lot of fun to possibly revisit. Now, is that a comeback for Mick to go back into the film industry? I don't know. I don't think so. Probably not. But it's been fun to dabble. I'm, working on some treatments and things like that. So, just kind of getting through that and going through the motions and such. So, and it's just been to keep my mind going because, I'm in here by myself, I'm doing my thing and I'm isolated from everything. So I can't walk. That's first and foremost. Like, my leg was purple and swollen at one point to a point where even going to the hospital was just insane. I was supposed to go to the premiere for Go Away, that's Dave Kerr's new film and Mike McGlynn's new film, and I couldn't make it. I had tickets for it and everything, and this came about Friday, so I didn't sleep at all on Thursday night, which is usually weird for me. I'm not a great sleeper, but I usually, get a few 4 or 5 good hours sleep in a night, and then I get back to work or whatever, but this was an instance where I just could not fall asleep. And I had kind of a head cold. So I was like, all right, maybe that's what it is, what it was. Friday, I'm exhausted. I can't really do anything. So I try to sleep during the day. But my leg starts to hurt and I couldn't understand it. But I didn't see anything. Like, I didn't see anything on it other than the cut that, I was like, and again, the reason I'm calling a cut, not a bug, well, as a bug bite to turn into a cut, it looked more like a cut, like it's a longer, like, because it was cut through. So the bite cut, it looked all right. It looked normal, scabbed over and whatnot, but it looked normal. But it's really just started to hurt and I couldn't understand it. And then it started to like get this like burning and itchy feeling. I just wasn't feeling well. So I just laid down. I went to sleep. I was in and out, but I was like kind of sleeping. And I woke up and like, I'm just sweating and I have a really bad chill. And I'm like, automatically, I'm like, oh, not a fever. Like, what is happening? Please, not a fever. So, by the way, Chris, you'll never get a part 2 of that college movie. It's never going to happen. So, as this second grade love is dead and always will be. So I hate this angle, by the way. It drives me nuts. It makes me feel like Jabba the Hutt. Just looking up at me. But I literally, I can't even, like, I want so desperately to sit up, but I would have to put my leg down and it's going to be excruciating. And I'm not doing that live on camera. So, and I don't want anybody hearing screams on my podcast later. So, I wake up, now I have 102 fever. I'm like, what is happening? Like, and my leg hurts. And then the fever starts going up. So I had to go get checked. It's an infection, they said, and it was the thing. And, they're spreading. So, like, give me the antibiotics, give me steroids. They do the whole nine. They test me for other stuff as well. And it's just been ridiculous. And I can't walk on it. Like, I refuse to do anything but go to the bathroom. And my bathroom is maybe like 7 steps away from me, maybe about 10 feet. And so, like, I'll go, and walk into the bathroom. It's excruciating every time. My leg just is killing me. I was so scared that the fever might have been because of a kidney stone or something. If that happens, that's almost, you could die. So run your butts, get to the hospital. So, but they said they didn't see anything that it was a kidney stone. So I was a little more relieved. Ironically, I passed the kidney stone today and I hate my body. So that's really what it comes down to. I am doing my best to have, to make the best of a bad situation. It's been a rough year. We all know that. We've talked about that a lot. So for this to come up, and it usually takes about 7 to 10 days to heal, I'm hoping I can start. Like, I have been walking around more and more, so it's clearing up. It's not as it's not swollen at all anymore. The discoloration, because it was like purple, then it turned to red, but it was like this. It was like, oh, you got to see the red. It was insane how it looked. I do have to pull myself up though a little bit, so excuse me for being terrible here, being a terrible host. So it was terrible, but like now I can walk. Like, I took a shower today, and I took a shower the other day and such too, but it was standing. It's like you got to just rush through because it just sucks. Today I was able to take it a little bit longer, maybe about 7 minutes or so, and it was just one of those things where, like, as you're going, it's like you're a little more strength to put on it so you can stay up, but it's tough. It's a hard factor. And, I kind of went through the motions, got through it, and I'm here. I was sitting here today. I'm watching movies, watching a lot of good classics and things like that. I watched 2 Hitchcock classics I love. I watched, and I think I post them for anybody who is friends with me on Facebook, but I watched Rear Window because I thought that was fitting, because all I had to look out was my window, really. And Rope. I love Rope. Rope is my favorite Hitchcock film. So I got to check out those 2 good Jimmy Stewart movies. I might watch Vertigo tonight. Kind of keep it up. But yeah, I had a really good time. I've been doing a lot of writing, trying to focus on what I'm doing, try and get the Scene Snobs, but kind of putting together a game plan for the Scene Snobs. It's been nice because fact of the matter is, I love doing this. This is my world. This is what I want to do. This is my dream. But I want to expand creatively, and I want to write a little bit more. I want to do a little bit more things. So, and I want to factor it all into the Scene Snobs somehow. So I might do some more with that. And so stay tuned. That may be what's coming. But thank you guys for joining in. Let's see what everybody's saying. I love it. AJ says Bitegate. Radar's here. What's going on, Radar? How you doing, pal? Thanks for joining in, man. Chris says, what's going on, brother? Wasn't expecting to see you today. Wasn't expecting to be here today. This is a game time decision. This is hours before, and I was just like, you know what? Show must go on. Got to do it. Let's just get it done. The enemies using mechanized mosquitoes to attempt to take out Mick. It didn't work, though. Never does. Russians will never take me. Geez, dude, glad you're okay. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate you jumping on, man. That's why you call the wife and get the sponge bath. Yeah. You've needed a much needed break, so it's all good. I wish. And Jason, What's going on, man? How you doing? I wish I could get that break though, Chris. So I have a very special guest who's going to be joining in tonight. We're going to be talking about horror movies in action and kind of how they have been probably the leading cause that the box office is doing as well as it is. And I don't even want to say probably because it really is a fact that they are. And he's my buddy. He's one of the scary snobs. He has his own show, Horror Sir Sturdy, and we just have a good time. We gel. So I wanted to bring him on today. I thought because I'm sick in bed, I'm not in my top form. My brain is foggy, but this guy is a host extraordinaire. He's going to make anybody look good. So I figured I'd bring him on and it'll make me look way better. And we'll just have a great conversation. So welcome to the show, Sir Sturdy himself. What's going on, man?
How's it going, man? How's it going? I'm always glad to come on here. Always glad to come on here. Brought your favorite animal, the bear. That's the cocaine bear, though.
That's the best kind of animal because they're the fighting animals, but they're cuddly too.
To an extent. Pooh's more of the cuddler, not this one.
Fair. Well, not that new one.
That's true, especially when you mess with their cubs. But that's like any mother, so I get
that's true. Yeah, you got to respect the bear. Listen, I may be a bear fighter by heart, but I'm also a bear respecter.
He fights male bears.
Yeah, but I look him in the eye and I respect him. I say, listen, I'm going to kill you now, but I love you. And your spirit is with me forever.
But he stays away from the mama bears because he knows what'll happen if he gets too close to the babies. He knows.
Yeah, they're going to want me as a stepdad. I'm a great stepdad.
That would be a hilarious horror comedy.
Man's family gets killed and the wife and the female bear brings the husband back to be the stepdad of her cubs.
That would be so wild.
It'd be great if it started out as a horror movie and then it became a sitcom.
And a love story. Like, what the?
Oh my God.
This isn't what I came here for.
You do love bears, man. So you just did Grizzly 2 last week, right? You reviewed it.
So I did, but that movie was not. That's the worst bear movie I've seen this year. And I seen Cocaine Bear, which was amazing. And I seen the Winnie the Pooh movie.
I still have not seen the Winnie the Pooh movie.
It was fun. I'll give you that. It was fun. Story wasn't the greatest, but you're not expecting that from those type of movies. I had a great time with it, and I can't wait for the next thing they do because I'm going to go to the theater and see it again. Appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah, and your buddy's here, Jason. He says, hey, that's my co-host with his obsession in the background. Loving the bears, man. It's not his fault.
That movie was just... Listen, people. Let me tell you something. When you see a movie title called Cocaine Bear, you know what you're getting yourself in for. You're not going there to watch a masterpiece. You're going there to watch something to laugh at, enjoy. It's a horror comedy. Yes, there is those for those that understand what those are. Horror elements into comedy. Sometimes there's more horror than comedy. This one was definitely more comedy. But I enjoyed it. I knew what I was getting myself into, though.
Yeah.
And this is now my second favorite horror comedy. You guys know Thanksgiving is by far the first and probably always will be. But again, you turn those type of movies on because you know what you're getting yourself into. Don't watch them. I won't watch them with my wives anymore, though. She didn't like Thanksgiving. I didn't like the things she had to say about it. It was hurt me right here.
Well, let me ask you, because you do seem to touch down a lot on animal horror films.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a subgenre that really speaks to you? Like, is that really do you really get into it? Can you talk on that a little bit more?
Honestly, I just try to watch more subgenres I didn't get to really watch as a kid. Like, as a kid, I don't even know if I seen Cujo or not as a kid, to be honest with you. And then as far as like the animal horror movies, everybody's seen Jaws and like Deep Blue Sea, but then I've never seen a horror movie with bears in it, beavers, all kinds of crazy stuff we get now. So I'm like, why not? And I feel like, honestly, just having a horror show made me really peek into all the other subgenres. Because when I dove into the animals one first, it was sharks. Why? Because of Jaws. And it was just easy to see, easy to find a shark movie. There's some stuff out there, people. Trust me. There's some stuff out there. They're not all good. And they're not all fun either, but I'm just like, I just felt like I had to do it. I just felt like I have to do it. And with the animal ones too, what I like is just the ideas people come up with, the ideas, the different type of factors they do with these movies. They make zero sense, but they're fun.
Mhm.
A really, really fun one, actually, I can recommend for you guys. It's not a horror. I don't think it was a comedy at all. I'm sure I laughed at stuff in it. But Boar.
I loved Boar. I thought Boar was great.
Awesome. That thing was a beast. That was a beast.
That was sort of a remake because they did do one years and years earlier. I think it was I want to say it was either in the 80s or the 90s, probably the 80s. And it was, I think it was called Razorback.
I've heard of that. I've never seen it. I've heard of it.
And it was a similar tone where it was like a giant razorback was attacking and it was the outback.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought Boar did a great job with it. And the characters in that were so realistic because it takes place in the Australian outback. And everybody played it really well.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah. And this is a great point too. AJ says Man's Best Friend is a great dog horror movie. Yeah, it is. If you haven't seen that, you should. And another one, which is kind of the first in the animals attack sort of situation, like multiple animals, is The Day of the Animal.
Ooh.
Leslie Nielsen's in it. And it's a horror film.
Nice. The Day of the Animal and Man's Best Friend.
Yeah,
for that.
I think you like those. And they're I think with something, kind of talking about the animals, and I think this touches down on like the topic we were going to get into, because Cocaine Bear was one that it was so absurd, but we are so attracted to that genre, and I think that works in an element because I think if you have lower budget indie horror movies that are very stagnant, very kind of, I want to say like The Dark and the Wicked, things like that, that are very like set in tone, folk almost. Okay. I think it's hard to draw people to the theater for those unless they're made by somebody or star people that you really know.
That's true.
But only because like but I think that's it almost because it's the feel of the drama. You don't really want to go see a drama on the big screen. It's those days are kind of passed us by. And post COVID, it's just changed immensely. But I think when you add the element of slasher or especially animals, people will flock. And that's why Cocaine Bear did as well as it did.
I agree. And again, it's because of the absurdity of Cocaine Bear. But then the slashers, it's just like, I got to see what's going to happen. I mean, like, we had Halloween Ends, which wasn't the greatest, but I'm sure it made some decent money. The past Scream movie that came out. And we just, for me, I'm a huge horror fan, so I'm going to go see everything in theaters. Even if I don't like people in the movie, like I did go see Renfield in theaters, people. So I'll just go see it, me and the wife. It's one of the things we just love to do. So we'll go watch. I think Sunday was our 15th movie of the year going to the theaters. For me, that's nuts.
Nah.
Growing up, like the most I went to a theater maybe 4, maybe 5 times within a year. And that may have been from like January 1995 to January of 1997. Not, you know what I mean? Not just January to December. It's like, no, you throw that extra month out there just in case those extra months you didn't go in between. And I love it though, man. I love it.
I'm right there with you, man. And I don't mind any really type of horror to go see in the theaters, like Evil Dead Rise, stuff like that. I think they all attract in a really good way. And the good things about those and like the Terrifier movies and movies that stand out like that is like they're pushing the envelope. There's like a lot of shock to them.
Yeah,
you want to see with that surround sound. You want to see in the theater that's different. And also, I think it's the communal of horror fans all together that really adds.
I can't tell you how happy I was when I seen how many people were in the theater for Cocaine Bear. Both times that I went, damn near packed. And I'm like, this is awesome. Same thing when I went to go see Terrifier 2. And I'm just like, stuff like that you love to see when there's a lot of people in theaters for horror in general for me. But then for the indie movies especially, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what we really, really, really need, because Hollywood doesn't really care what we think of movies. at all. And we could see with them, you know, oh wow, this movie came out 17 times. Let's cut this part out, glue this here, put some pretty faces in there. Boom, we got yourself a movie. And that's all they do. I mean, they'll change up the story somewhat here and there, but the indie scene is super, super, super important. And we definitely support it. And the box office proved that with a few movies that came out.
Yeah. And you know, with action taking on the way it is, and especially people kind of getting that fatigue of superhero movies and not going to those, but action not slowing down. You know, the Tom Cruise movie's still going hard and things like that. And the big sweeping epics, like we're going to see in a few weeks, does Oppenheimer stand a chance? You know, it looks like this big epic movie that you should see in IMAX. Only time will tell. But Barbie, on the other hand, is catching so much heat, which comes out the same weekend. Is that going to do well? Like, you know, it's how did those stand up to something like a Dead Reckoning, the new Mission Impossible movie, which we know is going to kill it. And I was having this talk with somebody about how Tom Cruise is going about trying to see if he can push some of these movies back so he can have IMAX screens for a little bit longer for his movie. I get it. I mean, the guy has put everything into this movie for like 4 years. He's been trying to make it. It's been craziness. And he's been hardcore making sure that it will only be released in theaters. He will only allow his films to be released in theaters. And they're calling him the guy saving the box office right now. And I don't blame him because I know it's going to be good. Yeah. There's not a miss in the Mission Impossible series. And if there's no miss in the series and it keep getting better and better, I trust that this is going to get better. This is going to be better than those, you know?
I do want to... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was just... So with that, I was just going to say, so I do kind of get like, all right, what's, you know, do we keep it old time competition where it's like, all right, put your movies out and then it's going to take some away from Mission Impossible or not? We have to see. Or do we... You know, should he do that? Yeah, I think he should. I think that helps the box office more. His movie should be able, if it could be number one for 3 or 4 weeks.
That's true.
Then put out those movies. And then they can pick up the mantle and run with it in IMAX. Go for it. Great.
I agree. And I want to get back on what you were saying about the superhero movies and the oversaturation of it. I highly agree with that. Like, the only way I'll go see those movies in theaters is if my wife wants to go. Other than that, I won't even bother. Just because, one, I do enjoy them, but they're not like must-sees for me. Yeah. And then two, again, the whole Marvel universe, like I did that on Worst Damn Gamers podcast. The last, whatever, Endgame is what we finished with. And now you have like a whole nother slate of movies that's just coming out. And that's just me just watching those movies because I have wanted to catch up. And I don't even have... Like I'm back in the same boat as far as like, okay, all these movies are out now. I don't really care to watch them. And yes, I know I just finished those other ones, but I'm like, they just came out and now they're in theaters again and you're getting saturated with it. You're seeing the same faces all the time versus like the horror movies. Yes, they're coming out and yes, we're going to get a Scream 7. That's not coming out again for like another year or two. And with Mission Impossible, when did part 5 come out? I'm not sure. I don't know the films that well, but I'm sure it was a few years.
This is the 7th film. Part 6 came out in
you said this is part 7. Okay.
18 or 17.
But still, though, that's a few years versus, I mean, how many Marvel movies did we already get this year? And then on top of that, how many characters overlapped into each of those movies? I'm sure at least one, maybe, wasn't. You know what I mean? If there's one in 2 movies, then it's just like, okay, so now I'm seeing the same people. Yes, different movies, different stories, or different part of the story, I'll say, sorry. But it's just, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not saying don't do them, but maybe spread them out more. Maybe spread them out a little bit more. And I miss having like the summer, like you're saying with the blockbusters, like having the summer blockbusters, and then you have those other few that come out. Yeah. You have one huge blockbuster movie that comes out, say like this Friday. Give that a 2-3 week run, and then another big movie. Of course, with the other side ones coming out, because people are still going to flock to those. Like, what did we go see? When Spider-Man, whatever horror movie was out when Spider-Man came out, like those weekends were all me and the wife. And what I love about that is the theater we go to, there's like 5 people in there.
Yeah.
Quiet, nice. And everybody else is watching Spider-Man and all that other stuff. And you even seen it with that, like with You seen the week The Little Mermaid came out. Boom, huge numbers. Then I think Spider-Man came out the following week. So of course those numbers drop with The Little Mermaid. Spider-Man jumps up, and then it's just like a week thing, maybe 2 weeks for some. But if you spread these out a little bit more, especially if you're under the same umbrella of Disney or whatever. Yes, I know you're getting the money, but still spread it out some and spread it out for us fans or the fans of those type of films that want to go see them. They can afford to go see these films without, oh, wow, this one just came out this weekend. Now next weekend, this one's coming out. And now next weekend, especially if you got a wife and kids and your whole family, because that's one thing I can say about the Marvel movies is, which I guess helps with the box office numbers, is they are really good family films as far as you have it to the point to where I don't know if there's a certain age limit for parents. And Mick, you can probably speak on this better than I can, but do you let both of your sons watch the Marvel movies?
Yeah, I generally don't worry about it. And I think the worst that I've worried about it was probably Doctor Strange, because it was more of a horror movie and he had no issues.
Okay.
So it was fine. And I think those movies are, they're made for that and that level, and it works and it's okay. And you're right. And then they do pull and I like that they said that they are going to slow down on putting things out. I think that's great. And I think the writer's strike is forcing them even more so to have to do it now.
Good.
Not
good, the writer's strike. Pay the writers, give them what they deserve, give them what they've earned. Because if it wasn't for the writers, you greedy fools wouldn't have anything. They do the hard work. Pay them.
Take care of your below the lines. That's definitely for sure. And stand with WGA. So 100%. So, but going off that and with the box office the way it is, like we've seen it slow down a bit now because the Flash flopped hard. And I agree with, Chris is agreeing with us, but we're talking about way too many superheroes. It's not going to stop because now DC is trying to charge through and make as many more, if not more than Marvel, to catch up and to catch that money. Only time will tell if it works or not. We'll see how they do. I wish them well. I hope they do well with this property. I never want to see these properties fail because I think when that happens, we start to lose things on them, and it gets kind of sad. Whenever you see a poor Marvel movie comes out, it's like you burned your fatigue a little bit harder.
Yep.
And you're just like, well, now I got to wait for the next one. Is that going to even be good? The last three were like, they're okay. I didn't mind them, but they're not blowing me away,
And what's tough with those movies too is for someone that's more of I'll call myself a casual fan. Like I love the animated stuff way more. Grew up on the cartoons. I love the cartoons. And then you get to like the adult version of those and like, this is even better. But it's just, for the ones that are like okay or decent, I'm like, these movies are too long to just be okay or decent. I need to be, I'm not saying action packed all the way through, but I need to be grabbed from the first minute till the third hour. Because if I'm bored with with a 3-hour movie with say an hour and a half in, that's not good. Chances are I may even just say cut it. If it's not for content purposes, I may just cut it off and be like, I'll finish this when I finish this type of deal, unless it's like really grabbing you in. And I feel like Marvel did do that with, I don't even know the phases. So whatever phase I watched with Endgame, for the most part, they did it with that. For the most part, there was a few in there. The Thor movies, in my opinion, I feel like he should have been teamed up with somebody. If anything, he shouldn't have had a solo movie. I did not like Black Widow at all. Not because of her. Her in the movies as a group, my fault. Where is that?
I'm gonna move forward anyway because I'm gonna slip back.
And what I mean? It's certain ones in that group setting for those movies. I think certain ones that got solo movies should have just been maybe grouped up with 3 or 4 of them or something, not their own solo things, because it wasn't really strong, in my opinion. Now, there's people that are deep fans of it and they loved it all. More power to you. I get it, because that's how I feel about Friday the 13th. As horrible as some of the movies are, I love them, so I understand that fandom of it. But I do feel it's just too much, in my opinion. Again, if you love it, and I love that you love it.
Yeah, and horror films too, by and large, are very cheap to make, very easy. And they're very, and by my experience of asking people, as I generally ask anybody who works in film industry, Like, what's your favorite genre to work on? You know, because mine has always been horror, primarily because of the camaraderie that you feel with the rest of the crew that around you. We're all just into it. We all just have a good time with it, so it's fun. So to see, you know, and so it makes sense that the studios love when horror movies are pumped out and they're being pushed out more and more, because now it becomes we can make 40 of these a year for $1 million, at $1 million, $1 million to $5 million each as a budget, which we're spending $300 million on this action film, this superhero action epic, and that's probably never going to see the money back. But 40 of these films, your percentage is probably 60% are going to see a huge return on investment in the box.
I agree with that. And out of that 60%, I'll say maybe 5% of them are going to end up cult classics. Because you know how we are with the horror thing. There's just certain movies we gravitate to, we love, or we'll even fall in love with those films later on down the road. Like, I think Halloween 3 is a great example of that. The popularity of that movie in the past 10, 15 years, I'll say, from what I've seen, at least, just with social media and all that, just people talking about it so much in so many circles. That's one thing I can say about horror, because that's the circle I'm in more, is like those cult classics. It's just, you either love them or you hate them, and people just know that they're in this this box. It's like they're cult classics. They may not be your cult classics, but it's like the horror overall cult classics. You pull it out, you check it out, you don't like it, you put it back. That goes in the horror overall cult classics. It doesn't come over to mine. And I don't know if any other genre has that. I'm sure there is a few, and I'm just not thinking of them. But I'm not sure any other genre has that. And then again, going back to the box office, another indie movie that I believe did well and I enjoyed was Barbarian from last year.
Yeah, and that had a great marketing, because it was very minimal. But all they need, I love when they do it the right way. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I know I did, and I apologize. But like, when you do marketing the right way, it can be cheap and so effective. And they did it really well with that, because all they did was show the in-your-face clips cutting to the scares in the audience.
And you know what that movie right there made me like refresh and start doing all over again was not watch trailers. Like that movie, I seen somebody talking about it on Facebook. Didn't see any spoilers or anything, like just Facebook, Twitter, and all of that. I seen a poster, and then I looked on my phone. I was like, okay, cool. This is playing near me. Talked to the wife. We went to go see it. And after that, I was like, so I have a new rule for myself. I do not watch any horror trailers. Horror comedies I may let slide through here and there. But theater releases, I will not watch the trailers. I will not listen to the trailers. Even in the movies, when the trailers come on and I know it's going to be horror, I'm on my phone doing this. Just because I don't want to see them. I want to be surprised by them as much as possible. And one, because trailers show too much. And two, I just want to go into the movie blind. And I'm also looking at it like I'm reviewing movies. I don't want to get a little inkling of it from the trailer. It's like reading the back of the book before you actually read the book. Where's the fun in that? For me, it takes the fun away from it. I don't even like to read the synopsis of movies, because I really want to be surprised. Like, I try to picture a movie as like going to this different world, like kind of the theater's like space. You're going to this different world and just seeing this thing. You don't know anything about it. You're just watching it. You're locked in there for however long the movie is, and then you go about your business.
Yeah, and a great point to that, as you're saying, like, to take it to last year as well, like go with Smile, which is a bigger film than Barbarian, had a bigger marketing ploy, but their marketing ploy was genius.
Yes.
Just have people show up at random sporting events and other events that are televised and stand creepily and smile.
I wish I would have got that phone call, because I could do that.
Right?
It's easy. I'm like, why are you just standing there? Why did you get there? I've been here.
People were terrified at a Yankee game, because random people were just standing up and smiling. And then they're just like, oh, this must be for that new movie, Smile. And so now you have the commentators saying it. I guess it's coming out, soon. So make sure to go check it out. It looks creepy. Like it's it's so beautiful to create that word of mouth off of just something as simple as like smile.
Yes, and that's something I really do love, because it, like you just said, the word of mouth thing, it brings back that simplicity. Like, I think sometimes marketing needs to be, yes, in your face, flashy, but sometimes it just needs to be that kind of subtle, simplistic kind of just. If you get it, you were supposed to get it type of deal. That's how I feel the smile thing was for Barbarian. Like what you're mentioning, if you get it, you were supposed to get it, and then you're like, oh wow, this ties this. Now I'm gonna go see this movie, see what the hell these people are smiling about.
Yeah.
And that's genius right there. That's genius. And it's I feel like it was one of those ideas that was like the last idea of marketing. Like, oh, we should do this. Oh, they did that. This. Oh, how about we just have random people? It could be backup actor or whatever you want to call it. Backup act. Maybe it's backup actors, or I don't know what else you call them. I'm sorry, I'm not in the business, but like extras, so to speak, that didn't make the cut. Like, hey, listen, we'll give you a few dollars. We'll pay for your ticket to go to the game. You're going to be on camera. We need you to just stand up and smile. You may be on camera. We need you to stand up and smile randomly at this time, blah, 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 because we're going to have, we talk to, I don't know how it works, but again, I wish I got that phone call, because that, just being a part of that has to be cool. Like, just think if you were one of those random people, because your people just took a picture of it, and they're just like, yo, look, I was a part of this whole thing to build up for Smile. That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
It's such an experience, like, just this, like, thing that stands out and gives you the chance to be a part of what we see is happening. And of course that's going to make you want to see the very product that it's based on. Like, why would you not want to do that? And again, it goes back to even like when I was saying with Barbarian, and you have those cutaways to see what the audience members are reacting to, or it's like, wow, like, okay, I want that feeling. So it's just that call to, okay, yeah, I'm going to go see it. And I want to be within a community of horror. So I don't think there's an action community like there is a horror community. There is, but they're not like the horror community.
I don't think it's as big, and I think they'll get drowned out by the superhero movies because of the action sequences in both type of deal. Yeah, and I feel like the only thing that could rival the horror thing, or probably as big as, or maybe even bigger than, is the superhero thing. But that is, I'm not saying horror isn't full family, but the hero stuff, like the Marvel movies that came out, that's definitely something you could take your wife and kids to. You can't take your wife and kids to every single, wife and kids, I'm just saying that's the whole family thing, to every single horror movie. No, you cannot do it. You can't. You can't. I would argue it, but that would be for my own. But look, I started when I was 5.
Well, again, we've had this talk before. Like, my biggest argument with that is always just like, I want them to appreciate it, and like, at what age would they appreciate this? So I always leave them out of horror until I know, like, I can see it and like gauge. No, all right. Once you're at an age, like my oldest is 11. Yeah, like, come on, let's go. Because
that's awesome.
He's gonna appreciate it. But like, he's not gonna understand Last House on the Left and the violence of that.
Even if, I guess, they don't come out now, these movies, but like Goosebumps and stuff like that I feel like would be actually a great start. I would even go back and watch that as an adult. Goosebumps. Are You Afraid of the Dark? I don't know if I guess that would depend on the kid. That would depend on the kid. I don't know what kids watch nowadays as far as horror wise goes, but I always love when I hear kids young watching horror, which I just found out last weekend? Yeah, last weekend. I was over at my brother's house for my mother's birthday, and my 2 little cousins, one of them's, I think she's 14, the other one's 8. But I was just, talking to them, and I was asking the youngest one, like, so when did you start watching horror? And her older sister answered. She was like, oh, I can answer that at 3. She had her watching horror movies at 3, and I'm just like, not her mom, but but that's how it usually is. It's your older sibling, older cousin, or someone that introduces you into it. For me, that's how I was. My parents they're not really into horror like that. And I'm sure they weren't going to introduce me to it at 5, even if they were. I don't know.
No, and like, I actually, weirdly enough, my mother did introduce me to horror. She introduced me to horror with The Exorcist, but to me, I was 7 at the time, and it was on TV, so there was a TV edit to it already.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for her, it was like, okay, I can be a little more comfortable because there is this television edit to it, and it's fine. But man, like it's of course it's still scary, especially like for that time growing up Catholic, and it's like, well, what's happening? I thought priests were supposed to be ahead of all of this and whatnot, and like, I mean, now that opens up the door for a billion other things, but whatever. But
yeah.
But I do want to. We are kind of one on time because you have a show tonight. You go live at 8 p.m. and yes. I want to talk about your show real quick and kind of let everybody both your shows and real quick. So I'm gonna let you take it away, my friend. Tell everybody about Harvester Sturdy, Popcorn and Pints, when and where they're playing, where we can find them, and guys, it is linked down below. So make sure that if you want to go check out Sturdy's show tonight, just go down to the link and go check it out. But go right ahead, man.
I'll start out with Popcorn and Pints. That one's quick. We're on a break this weekend because this is actually my 7-year wedding anniversary weekend. So
hey, happy anniversary.
I thought, if you guys want to see Star Sturdy, make it to CFF in 2024. I should probably take the weekend off of podcasting. Of course, I was going to do that anyway, but you guys know. So we'll be back the 8th, and we're actually reviewing Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation off our video game wheel. That'll be at 9 o'clock Eastern time for Popcorn and Pints. You can find us right over on YouTube and a bunch of other places, but we really need a love on YouTube, so I'm just going to talk about our YouTube channel. So go over there and show us some love. We have a great, great, great time on there, a multicultural cast. You guys know how I make those jokes all the time? Well, you get way more over there, trust me, from all of us. But it's a great time. You guys will have fun. It's basically how Horror Search 30 is, just non-horror. And I do have a show tonight, like Mick was saying, at 8 o'clock Eastern time, actually reviewing Dracula, the original Dracula movie tonight. So that's going to be fun. It was a first-time watch for me, doing a little dive in some of these Universal monsters. Thursday, we're going to be doing The Wolfman, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Hopefully you guys can tune in for that as well. And the month of July, I know Mick knows about this, I am doing Friday the 13th fan film reviews. All the movies that I'm reviewing are on YouTube. And if you want to be a guest, let me know. I can make that happen. I will shoot you. Not only will I shoot you an email for the show date and all that stuff, that'll be a scheduled email. So you'll get it at 7 o'clock Eastern time. That's how I'm going to be doing my emails from here on out for my shows. 7 o'clock Eastern time, day of. Boom, right in the email. You got those. But for the YouTube, because all these movies are on YouTube, what I'm also going to do is once I get them all scheduled is whoever's going to be a guest, I'm going to send you guys a separate email with the link and the date of the show. So you guys have the link right there. You don't have to go searching for it. It's all on YouTube again, but just to make it a little bit easier. And I'm doing that for the month of, like I said, for the month of July. I have a little surprise I have in the back of my mind for August. And Mick gave me this wonderful idea. Once I get enough indie horror movies, which I was saying 45 minutes and longer, but I'm going to push that back to a half hour and longer. My Thursday shows are only going to be indie movies and indie reviews. Once I have enough to kind of go out, or anytime I do indie stuff, indie reviews for movies will be on Thursdays.
Oh, all right, man.
Once I have enough movies to review for that, because again, I want your guys' movies to be seen. You want your guys' movies to be seen. And I'm not going to lie, I want my podcast to be seen and heard as well. I know Mick does. So you guys,
100%.
Make sure you're over here liking, sharing, subscribing to the Scene Snobs, because this is a great, great, great show. Very welcoming, very awesome, very open, which you don't see a lot of, especially with male-run shows. You don't see that a lot. It's very, 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 very important. And this guy over here knows how to shut up and listen. I know he's funny as hell, but like a big teddy bear, like this one back here. If he cares about you, he'll protect you.
Well, Sturdy, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, talking to me. Guys, if you want to go check out a show, like I said, the links are down below. So you should definitely go support him over on YouTube, follow him all over. Sturdy's a great guy. So thank you again so much for jumping on tonight, man, and being with me on this and being part of it and talking some, not just horror, but just talking movies in general. And I appreciate you for that.
Of course, man. I love doing this. Thank you for having me on. Feel better soon. And guys, I don't care what Mick said earlier. If that laptop's moving, it's because he has a boner.
Only for you, my friend. Take care,
I'm
buddy.
fine with that. That's flattering. You guys have a great one.
Night, bud. Guys, thank you so much. You know what? We're going to do a couple more things. I'm changing it up. So we've been doing Snobs Movie Summer School. And, we've been talking a lot about social stuff that's been going on in movies and things like that lately. And it's just not been really jiving with me as well. So I wanted to change it to more of a, let's talk about filmmaking. I have a lot of knowledge in that and, things that I appreciate about, movies and stuff like that, I want to spread and I want to talk about. So, and I also want to hear what people have to say. So if you're a filmmaker and you have thoughts on this, I would love to hear what you have to think. So tonight for Snobs Movie Summer School, we're going to talk about the importance of the static shot. That's right, everybody. The static shot. What is the static shot? This is basically the static shot. When my camera's not moving, normally it's a static shot. It's a shot that is locked off. They also call it a lockdown shot, so you guys know. But that is a different sort of, if you hear the term lockdown, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have a static shot. A static shot means the camera's not moving. That means that you are watching your figures. They can move within it. Anything can move within the shot, but the camera is not moving. You are with it. You are there. One of the most famous static shot, that we know of as geeks especially, is the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon when they're flying. I hate being in bed doing this. I really do. I wish I was in my studio. So, when the Millennium Falcon flying, it's so static, but everything is happening. They are running around, talking to each other. They're hitting buttons. They're going, lose the head in the room a little bit, going all over the place, doing what they have to do. So, and you also have the warp speed. Well, it's light speed in Star Wars, but you have the light speed effects coming through the screen. It's a very famous static shot, but also another static shot that really adds. And I want to explain kind of what it is off the bat. Is now when you have that shot of the two sons outside Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's house, when young Luke Skywalker is walking up the mound to go and look at the sunsets. That's a static shot. It's locked off. So what the lockdown shots means is that the tripod is locked down, the camera is there. Now, what is the difference between a lockdown and a static shot? Lockdown, you can still pan and tilt. You can still, that's pan, and you got the tilts. So when you have that element, you're still moving the camera. It's still a movement within the shot for the camera. Static is the camera doesn't move. It is locked. It is in position and it is not happening. So that's why a lockdown shot. But there are so many effective elements that happen, and we don't see a static shot too often other than within coverage in movies anymore. And it really bugs me. It really does. And a lot of independent filmmakers don't tend to use it, and they don't think they understand the importance that a static shot can hold to help build character, help build set, help build, development of really your story, where we're at. Hold on, I gotta sit up. Sorry, guys, when you're in this much pain, you have to move accordingly. So let me do this. I'm gonna sit forward a little bit and just hopefully the camera will stop moving. So when it comes to the static shot, sorry, got my remotes. When it comes to the static shot, why do we not see it used as effectively? We do with older filmmakers. Older filmmakers will often use a static shot really well, especially when they're establishing scenes. But effectively, when they're trying to portray something about their characters effectively to us, so that way we have a chance to read the room. And they can also do it where you can jump shots. You can cut between different shots, different static shots, and you can also change your static shot within it. Perfect example of this is in the movie Heat. Now, we use the 3-shot method we use that movie and that scene in the diner when they're talking, and it's Al Pacino and it's Robert De Niro. It's a very famous scene. We all know it. We use that to talk about the 3-camera over the shoulder method and the master method. But what we don't really talk about is how important the static portion of it is, that there is no real movement of the camera. The movement comes from the cuts, and the movement comes from the actors. And every time something changes, every time it is like a ballet. This is so choreographed beautifully in such a way, it dazzles your mind. I think we sometimes forget that, and changing that up and to be able to see. So like we get closer, we get farther, we get close. So like when they're calmer, we're farther away from them. When we get closer, we're in their face, like in their face, pulled up. And when they're kind of agreeing with each other and where they're at, we get the 2-shot. Then it's over the shoulder, over the shoulder, over the shoulder. It is such a dance to be able to do that. And it takes such amazing editing. But within those shots, to be that static tells the tale. That locked off shot, that shot that is not moving and is just allowing our characters to breathe on their own and do their own thing, is telling us more about these characters. It's telling us more about the setting that we're in and where the film is at this point, and really anything else going on. It's pushing the story forward. This is perfect filmmaking. When you can use a static shot in that way, I'm all for moving the camera. I'm all for pushing. The push-pull is beautiful. But those are effects that are utilized for a certain point. You can't push-pull 15, 16, 17 times in a movie. That would be insane because it would lose its meaning. Why would you want to do something like that? And push-pull, of course, when we can talk about this in another point, but a perfect example of this is when Brody is sitting on the beach and the Kittner boy gets eaten, and all of a sudden, the camera's coming in at him and it's coming to a close-up, but the background is pushing away. So the foreground's coming at and the background's pushing, zooming out. So but that is a camera movement. That's not a static shot. They do move. That's on a dolly. It's just when we explain that one, and we get up to all the camera shots in a different episode, I'll explain how that works. But that is an effective method for that. That adds to the shock and the awe. What I'm talking about with the static shot is, so let's talk about Lawrence of Arabia. So if you haven't seen Lawrence of Arabia, you should. It's a beautiful, beautiful set piece. But when he blows out that match that's burning, and that is it's the representation of the desert and the heat of the desert and how things are just burning over there. And when he blows it out and the sun, and it cuts to, it's a static shot of him holding the match for a very long take and talking, then to blowing it out. When he blows it out, it immediately cuts to a new static shot of the sun rising, and it dissolves into another static shot of Omar Sharif riding his horse up to Lawrence. And it is one of the most beautiful cut scenes, just to kind of be able to go through those, and then the transitions that happen within them, to cut so hard from the match being blown to the sun, and then to transition into a dissolve from the sun into this lone rider riding in this desert and just not moving, but slowly he's coming closer and closer to the foreground. It's beautiful. Now, when it comes to a lot of these static shots, they're very big over in Asian cinema. Chinese, especially Chinese cinema, loves to use static shots, and they use them so effectively. Korean as well. They set up your camera and you are good to go, and you're going to let your characters tell your tale. And beautifully done also by production design, because everything that you see, and not just in Asian cinema, but if you do it really well in American cinema, and we've seen it, that art, you can use that art design and though the production design and the art department to also tell the tale of who these characters are, help us build who these characters are. It is a beautiful way to kind of, give you, to just tell your story in using shots that are very easy to set up, but tell you took time on. And it also gives your subjects, your actors, a chance to really play with what they have. They know where they're working. They know where they're framed. So, we have many different methods that you can use when you're working within something like this. Like the rule of threes is the rule of thirds is probably the biggest, where you cut it up into 2 lines this way, 2 lines this way, and they cut across, and it creates 4 points of crossover. And then, of course, you have so much going on. We use it here, like even when I'm doing this, where I am now, dead center is authoritative. A lot of times you will see authority figures in movies in a static shot. When they're using the rule of thirds, they will be in dead center, and they'll usually be over. So then that way it is. I think. When Arlie Ermey's character in Full Metal Jacket is yelling at them, that is a really well done, really well used use of thirds. He's such an authoritarian. Like, you don't need anything else in the shot. You just need the blankness of the ceiling behind him, and it works so effectively. But why do we not see this in a lot of indie projects now? I think because also ultimately guerrilla filmmaking has always been a thing. People are generally worried about time. They don't plan out the shots for that. When they lock down the camera, it's more to, okay, what can we get? What can we get? What can we get? And there's always that intensity within yourself to want to move the camera. Sometimes you just gotta lock it off, and you gotta let your actors go. Frame them right, put them in the right, use leading lines, find the balance within the scene. And it's all too often I will see people talk to each other, and it's like, oh yeah, is that what you're going to do to me? And then they'll cut to the next, and it's like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do to you, and that's how it's going to work. Use your screen, tilt over, but don't talk. Talk to the larger part of the screen. All right, and of course you want to do something a little more design oriented behind me, but you want to talk to your larger part of the screen, right? Never you want to talk like this. It looks stupid, because then you have just negative space here. So talk to your larger part of the screen. And then when you cut, add that element to the other side, So using these effective tools will actually help with a lot of independent filmmaking, and it can help you plan better. It can help you push your story along. It can help your actors have a chance to play with things a little bit more. So when I don't see it utilized properly, I just don't understand if people understand the static shot that well. And I do encourage people to go out and find movies like 2001: Space Odyssey. Great movie for just checking out static shots and how well they work. Then you have movies that add elements to it where, again, a lot of Asian culture. Parasite had a lot of great static shots that worked well and were framed perfectly, and they did perfectly with art direction and such. But if you guys are interested in learning more about the static shot and talking about it more, I'm going to also be doing fuller videos of these on our Patreon. So please feel free to reach out to me or join our Patreon, and I will do full ones. And I will be able to add a lot of different. This is a podcast, is a little bit different. So then again, a video series, I can add some of my examples, things like that I would love for you guys to see. But yeah, or reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk about it with you too. So thanks everybody. But let's get into it. Our final segment for this evening, I am going to fix Mummy 3, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. This is the first time I've seen this I think since it came out. This was not good compared to the first two. And how would I fix it? So this is going to be sort of a short and sweet sort of fix for me, because one, the perfect fix for it is we should be, and anybody who's watching this in the clip later, my apologies, I'm going to move because I am in bed this week because I am sick. I have hurt myself. I cannot move. And I'm just kind of sort of stuck here. So in bed. So please bear with me. But when it comes to The Mummy 3, which is what I'm going to call it, I'm not going to go with the whole title. You have a great cast here. You have Jet Li. You have Michelle Yeoh. You have so many more just kind of showing up. Brendan Fraser's back. Pretty much the entire cast is back, except of course for Rachel Weisz, which Maria Bello, as much as I like her, and I think she's a fantastic actor, she just does not work in this. The chemistry isn't right between her and Rick, Evelyn, and Rick, and Brendan Fraser's Rick O'Connell, the way that Rachel Weisz did. I thought they worked perfectly together. I thought they maintained so perfectly well. And, I really wish that they had held out or paid her or did whatever they had to do to get this done, because to add this would have been so much better. Or you don't add her, or you don't, she does not become a proponent of it. If this is a way to pass the torch and keep it going with Alex, the young son, because now he's grown and he's in his young 20s, and the whole movie starts out with their bored married couple who just don't go on adventures anymore, and he's out there living up life on his adventures, looking for things in China, and he finds the emperor's cursed tomb, and of course he releases the mummy. The mummy gets released in some way and they get tied into it. There's a million ways to do that, but I would have simplified this more. First of all, take out so many changes in where you're going with it. They go all over the damn place. And yes, China is beautiful. And China has so much rich history. And you could have kept this going. If you did it right, you could have kept this going on for a long time, just taking place in China. But you shot yourself in the foot because you basically made The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. And The Mummy Returns was basically a carbon copy of the first one. I don't put it down. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun and I enjoy it. It is not the same as the first one, in sense of like as good as, but it is a good film that was fun and enjoyable. But you have the same exact cast. You have the same exact villain. You're telling the same exact story. Sorry for the motorcycles and things like that. Again, stuck in bed this week, not my studio. So I appreciate you guys understanding that. So I can't really control all the outside elements, but I will say for me, if you want to do a third Mummy movie and you want to move it to somewhere else and do something different and use a different rich history, and you want to kind of pass the torch, I would have actually went more along the lines of, and you can't get your main act, because remember, Evelyn was the main point. She was the main focal point of the first movie. It was not Rick. He came in to it. He was the hero, but he came into it. She was the precipice of everything. In the second one, the boy was the precipice. She was also still the big dog. Like, she was the one that was the main focus. She was connected to the past. Rick, again, was just the hero that was along for the ride. The love interest. Played perfectly well. Now, if you want to change this up and you want to start doing that with the son, and you can't get Rachel Weisz back, then leave her out of it. He's grown. Maybe the father's out. They had a falling out. He needs to go save his son, or he thinks he needs to go save his son. Or maybe Rick is gone and his son needs to go save him. First, they should have gotten a better actor for the son too. He just wasn't that good. Have the son team up with the brother and go back. You got him back. And now they have to go back and they have to save Rick, who is out in China trying to, do a mission for something. He's working espionage or whatever. That was like one of their subplots that they did in the movie. And then you create this Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade sort of feel. The father and son have to band together, stop this mummy, and that now it's a father and son movie. And it's a fun movie. You can add a love interest to it, a new love interest, and have that for the son. And just have Rick O'Connell play the older father who's just happy for his son. I just don't think that they went the right way with this. Get rid of those goddamn Yetis. That was ridiculous. And the fact that they added it was stupid. Everything else, they should have just kept in, working in China, not jumping in the Himalayas, not doing this, Shangri-La, the whole 9 yards. It just needed to be, it should have been a little more toned down for what it was. They went too epic with it at a time where it was too extended from where the second one had been. The second one came out in 2001. This came out in 2006. So it's a big time jump. We have now forgotten about them. And also, it's a little hard to believe that this little kid that we saw in the second one is now a grown adult. But I let it go. I think if you're going to make this movie, make it in like 2010 or something like that, and then it's a little more believable. But regardless of all of that, if you're going to fix this movie, you need to cut out some of the locations. You need to cut out some of the stupidity of, and the hokiness. Because the fun thing about the comedy of the first and the second one, they still took the horror seriously. This one, they didn't. Everything was still added to an element of horror to it, added an element of comedy to it, and they made fun of it a bit. It just didn't work. And then you were trying to make certain elements scary, and that also didn't work because you just now checked us out. So, and because they didn't have that chemistry that Evelyn and Rick had in the first two, because you changed out the actor, it didn't work for me either. So, a couple of casting changes, couple of, certain landscapes written out of it and things like that, and creatures written out of it. I think that you could have had a much better movie if you made it more of a father and son, like I said, Last Crusade sort of movie, where Rick has to kind of come in and be like, yeah, all right, this is who I am. This is what I've done for a long time. You need to listen. And then his son is like, yeah, but you can listen to me too, Dad. So let's go from there. So I want to know, what do you think? Did I fix the movie? It is a hard movie to fix because it is not a great movie, but I would love to hear what you guys think. Sound off in the comments. Let me know. Join up on the Discord. Let's talk about it over there. You can join up on the Patreon. We talk about things there as well, and we have tons of stuff going on. We have new episodes of Warp Factor Fiction coming out this week over on the Patreon, so you can check them out. But thank you guys so much for watching the Scene Snobs podcast. I really appreciate you. I would love it if you guys go check out snobsmerch.com. We have a lot of great designs. We have some new great designs coming out in July that I really want you to check out, that I think that you really like. And they're going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, until next time, I'm Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs. I appreciate you joining in this week, especially with me being sick and going through all the motions and such. But I got to get out of here. I'm feeling a little tired and a little out of it. But thank you guys so much. Take care, and I love yous. Bye.